Okay, Friday forecast time. The Minnesota Golden Gophers as the Huskers return home for the first time in 3 weeks. Sean, let's talk first about last weekend at Northwestern. A teachable moment would be a kind way of putting it. What do you think the Huskers learned?
Yeah, it's tough because they played arguably their best game, their most complete game in a lot of areas. They stopped the run. They really only allowed 7 defensive points until the final part of that fourth quarter. They ran the ball well. They, for the most part, passed the ball well. They forced turnovers. They missed some kicks and special teams. That would be their own, but they lost. And that's the hardest thing to wrap your arms around, because they did 99 out of 100 things right to win that game, and they couldn't do that one final thing, finish the game when they had complete control of it. And that's what was frustrating. And how this team now responds Saturday will be big, and that will be the story this week.
Yes, Scott Frost saying Monday this team does have to learn how to finish football games. And how do they respond, knowing that you have 6 games ahead of you, knowing that the bowl game is likely out the window. So what do you have to play for?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're playing just for respect right now, and because everybody knows you're the last winless team in Power 5, but Nebraska's not that bad. They are not the worst team in Power 5 football. And if I was a player, I'd be pretty mad about that right now, that right now you are the only winless team in Power 5. That is embarrassing. You're going to have 88,000 or whatever it's going to be in the stadium Saturday to support you still. You had 20,000 fans travel to watch you as a winless team. If that doesn't motivate you to want to win here, I don't know what can.
You know, defense took some lumps for their finish, but they actually played some pretty good football for the first 3.5 quarters against the Wildcats.
Yeah, the front 7, even though they're kind of down on their numbers, held up well. I mean, I thought Khalil Davis played really well. Stilley against the run played really well. Muhammad Berry. Dedrick Young had his best game of the season for Nebraska. Luke Gifford had I think he had 8 quarterback hurries in that game on Pro Football Focus this week. So he brought some good pressure on the edge in that game Saturday. So yeah, there was a lot of positives you could take from the play of the defensive front 7 and how they tackled, how they stopped the run. Unfortunately, just on the back end, one guy, Clinton Nagel, one receiver, really made their day difficult.
Let's talk about the Minnesota Golden Gophers. They come in 3-3, 3 wins in the non-con and 0-3 in the Big Ten, though they did play Ohio State pretty tough last week.
Yeah, there's a lot of similarities when you kind of look at P.J. Fleck and Scott Frost. Both were the group of 5 darling coaches that went to the New Year's Six Bowls in back-to-back years. Last year, Fleck had a rebuilding year in year 1. He started out 3-0 this year. Year 0.
That's what he said. He says year 0.
Row the boat.
That's
okay.
right. There you go.
They're 3-3 though now after a 3-0
right.
start. But just like Nebraska, they've had quarterback problems, Andy. They're starting a walk-on true freshman. And how do you pronounce his last name?
Zach Enigstad.
But I don't look at him as a walk-on. He was the starting quarterback for IMG Academy a year ago. That's the premier high school program in the country. He had Division I offers, so I don't quite understand how they got him as a walk-on. I'm sure he's not a walk-on anymore, though. He's been a starter there as a true freshman.
One of the things I found interesting about Monday and the way the Huskers met with us, the media, was a talking point that I guess people should see, but didn't know they would play it up as big as they did, and that was kind of the revenge factor for last year's shellacking they took in Minneapolis.
I mean, I'm sorry. I don't think that's a story.
You don't?
It's just so
overblown,
gone.
overplayed. Last year, different teams.
They didn't run it up on Nebraska. Nebraska played bad.
Right.
I mean, God, like that's not running it up. Yeah. Nebraska couldn't stop a simple option handoff play.
Yep.
Minnesota wasn't trying to throw deep. Nebraska just couldn't stop anything they were doing. They were not prepared. And Tanner Lee got hurt and left that game in the
Patrick O'Brien
at halftime. So I don't look at. I mean, Nebraska quit. I mean, there was a point at the end of the game where O'Brien was sacked 3 consecutive plays in a row. With backups in, that's not running it up. That's just not playing hard. I mean, so I don't look at that as a storyline for Saturday.
In the present, no, that is good. I think that's a valid point. But in the near present now, looking forward to Saturday, what do you expect? Because we talk about last year, but really 50+ guys weren't even on the Husker squad this year. So it's 2 different teams in 2 different situations. What do you expect Saturday?
Like Scott said, they just got to get a win. I mean, it's really that. It's come down to that. We're here at 0-6. It's just to the point where I don't care how it looks, they got to win a football game. And it better be one of these next 2, if not both these 2, against Minnesota and Bethune-Cookman, because you sure as heck don't want to go out to Ohio State 0-8.
Well, we'll see if they get that win this Saturday. Nebraska.
0-8, that would be bad.
Oh, that would be very bad. Nebraska and Minnesota, 2:30 kick on Saturday. It's on the Big Ten Network.